Hello, everyone, and welcome to Roads to Salvation, episode 2. We are listening to Leanne's testimony today.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, so my testimony, I want to just give a bit of a backstory to explain how I got to the place I'm now. It's not the ending. Still busy writing my story. But so I was born out of wedlock. Mom had me when she was very young. And when my father found out that she was pregnant, he decided it's not for him. He's not going to be part of it. I know there was discussions of putting me up for adoption, but so happy that never happened. So yes, I was raised by my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather. They were very big, well-known people in church. Um, I would say that having a child so young and out of wedlock was the biggest sin or scandal back then. So I don't think the odds were against my mother back then. But yeah, it obviously all worked out very well. I was raised by them. Then my brother came, my mom married his father. My brother came into the picture. I loved him very much as my own father. A few things happened there, and then that didn't work out. I remember very clearly that day when my mom said they're getting a divorce. It broke me to pieces. It. I'm a difficult person to love or to give love, but as soon as I do, I love very deeply. So it was a very, very difficult time for me. As a child, I loved him so much. Um, and yeah, my grandfather was he was well known um, in the industry of music. He was a very good singer and all of that. So people knew who he was, and he loved God. He was a God fearing man. We lost him obviously at a young age. And he was like my hero and my father and everything in one. So that was a very difficult time for me. But yes, I had my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, sorry. And then, yeah, so as a child, I was very, very ill. So when I was born with an enlarged heart and I lost 30% function in my lung. So I was very, very sick. My mom said there were so many times where I stopped breathing, I would turn blue. I was in ICU all the time in hospitals. My primary school days were more in hospital than actually at school. So I don't really remember much, but I know I was very sick. But then obviously things got better. My mom married my stepdad now, and I take my hat off for him. He took in not just a wife, but 2 kids, and he raised us. So kudos to him. We bump heads a lot, but we love each other. So that's an awesome part. Then, yeah, so in all of this, I was raised in with Christian foundations, and I still have my childhood Bible. We went to Sunday school and all of that. But I get to high school, I knew about God, but my I wasn't there. I knew about Him. And when I went to college, I went to study all of that, and then I kind of chose a different route. I started drinking. I know people don't believe this, but yes, I started drinking. I went out. It went every weekend. There was something going on. But in all of this happening, I always had a little voice saying to me, "Leanne, you're not doing the right thing." And that voice always told me, "It's enough now. You need to know when to stop." And I always listened. So I feel the Holy Spirit was always with me, telling me that that you're on the wrong path. So I eventually stopped. I went overseas. I went to work there. I came back. I was without a job for a while. And then I just dived into the Bible. That's all I did. I read Bible morning to night. And then I made delicious food for my parents. And the first book I ever read was Daniel. Love that book to bits. Love Daniel. Then was Romans. I think Paul's story is amazing of what he did with all the churches. And my favorite verse is Romans 8:32. Where he says that if God's for me, who can be against me? And I think that verse was so relatable because of everything I went through. There was so much rejection in my life from men that I won't say it bugged me. I think I was too small. But when I got older, I started realizing that, okay, rejection is a real thing. But I feel and I believe because there was so much prayer over my life and so much love in my life that it was never something that held me back. Um, I didn't really get into relationships with men. Sounds wrong, but I was never interested because of what my mom went through. I never wanted to go through that as well. And, I take my hat off for someone that had a child so young, alone, a sick child, had to finish school, went to go study, went to work, all of that, and made such a success of her life. And I think that's what kept me going, knowing that I can follow her example and, push through in difficult times. So then in 2015, my mom joined a smaller church. And just to have that intimacy, I loved it. I joined it and I decided I want to get baptized. This is what I want to do. So, mom, myself, and my brother got baptized together. And yeah, there's times where I went alone again. I joined the church, and then there was stuff that happened there. And then I decided, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Then I think I stayed away from church for a while, but not for too long. I still read my Bible and all of that and had a relationship with God and all of that. But then, excuse me, in 2018, we joined the church again, the big church where we came from. And I decided this is it. I am sticking to this. I need to have this relationship with God because without Him, I won't be able to get where He wants me to go. So we went there, and then I joined the home style group, and this is where I met my lovely husband. In 2018, I got baptized again. I decided that this is my last time I'm getting baptized. I'm making the public declaration to say that I'm giving my life to God. Without Him, I would not be where I am right now. So I got baptized on the church camp. My husband also did. We were not together yet by then. We were just friends. So I feel that is awesome that we got baptized together before we met each other as boyfriend and girlfriend and before we got married. And yeah, after that, things just changed. There was this time in my life where I felt, I wonder how my life would have been if my father actually stayed. But then I thought, you know what? There's a reason why things worked out. It's the reason I am who I am. That would explain to some people why I came across so hard or like I don't have emotions or anything. I think that was my way of coping with things. And I put walls up and I struggle to trust people. That was my biggest thing is how do I trust people if people that I loved so much and supposed to love me had treated me the way they did. So it was a stage in my life where it was difficult. And I think that's why I chose a different route because I think I thought that alcohol was going to make it better or fighting with my parents will make it better or all those things. And it didn't. So I'm happy I found the right way. And I think through all of it, people always ask me, how did you carry on or how did you do this? And honestly saying I would have never been able to do this without Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And forgiveness came easier for me with what happened. I felt for me it was easier to forgive someone I didn't know than knowing someone and they did that to you, if that makes sense. So I'm not upset with my father. I'm not angry at him. I believe that he would have to answer for this one day. I am not upset with my brother's father. Shout out to my brother. I love you. Hope you're listening to this. We also have a very, very weird relationship, but we've been through tough times together. So I think you can relate to some of the things I'm saying. But yes, to my stepdad now, you've been doing such a good job, and I'm very grateful for you. He came and showed us what it is to love unconditionally. He came and decided to love myself and my brother because our own fathers couldn't even do that. So that went deep very quickly. And in the last few years, when I married Brandon, God taught me through him what it is to break down those walls. How not to be that hard, and it's okay to love because not everyone's going to hurt you. I told you I'm a
It's
softie.
the dust. It's the dust. It's Ew.
I remember just before we got married, I think it was a few days, my mom came into my room and she's like, she just started crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? Like, we don't do stuff like that. And she's like, I'm just so happy for you because your whole life you experience
Rejection. There we go.
rejection. And you've met someone that came and filled it, and filled that emptiness you had. I'm talking now like physically, but God already filled that for me. I said, when I started praying for a husband, I said, God, what I wanted in a husband before and what I got was not what I prayed for. And I'm so happy for it because eventually I came to a point where I had to say, I want a God fearing man. It's not about anything else. If I can meet anyone, man preferably, that is God fearing, that is what I want for my life. And yeah, I think God sent him for a reason to show me that it's okay to love other people. And that's the commandment Jesus gave us. So he's teaching me how to love people and do things in a different way. And that's how I want to raise my son. So yeah, that's basically how I got to where I am. There were difficult times where you kind of question things, you question your own life, you wonder why, but I feel there's a reason why things happened, and I would not go and take it back. I would probably spend less time drinking, but and partying. But yeah, I'm happy I found my way back to God, and I'm happy for the people in my life I have now, and I don't ever one day feel that I've been rejected. I don't. God's always loved me. My family's always loved me. He's always been there for me, and forgiveness came easy. And I'm happy I forgave people in my life because I always said, if I can't forgive people, how can God forgive me for what I've done, or how can I ask for forgiveness? And how can God give me breakthroughs and open doors for me if I can't let go of things? And the day I started to let go of anything that held me back, so many doors open for me. And yeah, I don't think I would want to change my story. It's something that formed me. And yeah, I looking forward to the road ahead. My road now is literally the highway to Jesus. So yeah, and just a shout out to all the moms out there that had to raise, or dads that had to raise their kids by themselves. I think that's why I have that relationship I have with my mother. It's totally different in other kids with their mothers because she was still kind of a child and I was her child, and we just did everything together and we talked about everything and did everything together. So yeah, shout out to all the parents out there that do that. And Jesus really, really helped me through this, and I'm so happy for the Holy Spirit. So thank you, Holy Spirit.
Nice. Noise. Okay, so thank you for sharing and getting emotional, even though you kept telling me you don't want to and you're not going to.
It always
So
happens.
I know the dust, it's terrible that you
Yeah.
don't cry. But we will be continuing this. We will be having more people on. We actually are, well, tomorrow we are recording. Well, tomorrow, the day that we're making this, not when you're watching it, we know what
Yeah.
we're saying. But we'll be having a guest on as well with an awesome testimony, also, I've heard. So we'll see that. We'll get that out. If you guys can please, if you want to share your testimonies with us, get in contact, send us. If you have something that you've went through and you would like to share, we would share that. Who knows, maybe we can even get you on. We can have discussions about this. But yeah. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.